Welcome, everybody. Hope you're all having a good Thursday. Bobby Fi here. We're just going to be covering this little 3-game slate. Not much of a day. We can talk through the other little mini slates in baseball. It was one of a sort of a down day right off the bat of the season, 1 week into the season. But I had a solid day yesterday. I think it was very slightly profitable, but had some real chances there at the end. I ended up with in the later slate on FanDuel, I had 100%. By the end of it, I was at 100% Dodgers, 100% Atlanta for stacks. So I didn't stack any other team, and that looked like it was going to be the nuts. Just didn't quite put it all together to get the win, but did have a solid night on FanDuel, and I think maybe made a few $100 overall. Wasn't anything special, but feel good about the process. I think we're doing well with what we're doing. I'm going to talk through today about what I'm doing and what I like. I'll go through each game, but I did want to mention, just sort of like Sheets likes to do, I wanted to sort of just talk about how I'm approaching these slates, and they're all different, obviously. Oops, wrong window that I was sharing there. Let's stop the share, and let's make sure we got the right window here. All right. All right. So why is it putting my face on that screen? That's really weird. Something's wrong with my share screen here. So let me just figure that out. Give me a second. And I'm going to try this, and this should work. Let's see, share screen, SaberSim, and there we go. And it's nothing. It doesn't exist. Okay, this is very, very strange. I haven't run into this exactly before, and not sure why it's not working, but give me 1 second here. It was working before, and no idea why it's doing this now. All right, share screen. Okay, there we go. All right, so basically what I like to do is the thing is, Goldie updated his projections at 9:15 Eastern this morning. So I wanted to see if there's any players that he has in and that they have out. So let me just see real quickly, because I do want to use a combination of Goldie and SaberSim's projections as well as the ownership. And this is, I believe, the actual projection. So let's just make sure there's nobody who's not in the lineup today from Goldie's projection set. And going through it, all of these guys are in the later game. Chris Bryant is not in the lineup. We will make Chris Bryant has a 0. Okay. So we're going to adjust to Goldie's actually, and then we're going to adjust to Goldie / SaberSim average. And then we're going to go to 0. I know it's a little tedious, but I want to take the advantage of using Goldie's projections when we have them. We don't know about Mountcastle being in the lineup today, so this number is sort of hedged, but it should never be 3.2. So I can tell on a small slate, it's easier to do this. I'll just go to 6.5. Rafaela is in the lineup. Connor Wong is not in the lineup. And where's my SaberSim projection button? I know it's not the most fun thing, but it is a good way to get different in the Saber. So I'm just going through and making sure, based on all of Goldie's, who is in and who is out. Let's see, anyone that has 0 on SaberSim. Okay, so Jordan Beck is a 0. SaberSim 0 for Kyle Farmer, 0 for Miranda. And again, because there's not so many games, easy to go through. And I did switch over to both of them, right? Yeah, I switched over to the average. And then we're going to make sure that anybody else who is in doesn't have one. So then we're going to go do the same thing with the SaberSim, and we're going to combine Goldie and SaberSim. Now, if Goldie had updated his a little bit more recently, I could have just automatically done it because it would have taken all this stuff into account. But since it hasn't, oh, that's weird. I'm getting into players that have a 0 projection. So this should be, okay, so Jake Myers, who we didn't know would be in, 5.1, 5.2. That's what SaberSim's got him at. And remember, this is going to get you slightly different than other SaberSim users, and we are down past all of Goldie's guys. Okay, so then let's take a quick look and see if there's any that SaberSim has, and we're going to have to make the screen a little bigger. Again, usually what I would just do is click this button over here and just say, just play the average, or play Goldie's, or play SaberSim's. But we're not going to do that because we have enough. It's a small enough slate to where I want to make sure that I'm actually getting fairly accurate projections on some of these guys. I don't mind the middling out of guys like, that's what I want, is the middling out of these guys. So we're going to go to SaberSim and then compare to Goldie's. everybody who SaberSim has that Goldie has at 0. And so far, we're not running into many. There's Mickey Moniak. That's 1. We'll go to 6.5 on him. Okay. And then we are going to keep going down. And Ramon Urias, 6.4. Okay. And then Larnick, we expected in. That's weird. Why I wouldn't be getting to any of them. Maybe bump them up just a little bit. I expect to be getting to, some of everything, and I don't think full stacking is necessary. And you guys know my feelings on the slate. 6.2 for Narvaez, and just double checking with Goldies that make sure that there's, so we've got Dylan Carlson at 6.1. And then I'm just going to sort of run them. I'm still going to leave the ownership fairly similar to average out because it's going to be heavily weighted towards SaberSim. But it is just a way of getting different within the SaberSim. I really encourage you guys to use these. Obviously, that tournament I took down the other night, this is what did it for me. And the same thing, for a lot of my NFL wins, I really think it's an advantage to be using Sheets and Goldies projections with the SaberSim builder or a combination of the two. Okay, and we are just about done. Yeah, okay. So now we're going to rebuild. The other things I'm going to do today is I don't think we need full stacks, and I want to get a little bit off the board. You can see there's a wide range, and I'm happy to keep it as a big range in general. Maybe make it 45. I don't mind leaving thousands on the table on these slates. You're really trying to play for a few things. So usually I won't just pick out individual hitters. I'm going to try to pick out actual stacks and all that stuff. I sort of want exposure to all different types of stacks as well. The hitters that I did put a number on, and I just, again, the most likely to hit home runs, the most likely to steal bases, nothing incredible, outrageous here. I'm not really buying this ownership on Yordan Alvarez. Curious where SaberSim has him at. Sometimes when something doesn't make sense, I can just change it manually. Yeah, SaberSim's got him around 15%. I think that's closer. So I'm just going to put my exposure. Oh, we do have it as 15 because I averaged out the ownership, but it's going to be heavily averaged because it's going for 9 different types of contests for SaberSim. So, but again, just going to tweak the numbers just a little bit to get you a little bit different. And I also, and then, look, I'm just going to rebuild here, and then I'll talk through some of the actual plays going game by game. But I just wanted to sort of say what I was doing. I also did go to stack exposure, and we have, decent hitting weather in the games that are happening. There's going to be some potential delays or whatever. But oops, why? Okay, so you can see for the type of stack exposure, I put a cap on the 5-mans and 5-2-3s at 5-2s and 5-3s, just because I think that's what everybody does. And I think on 3 gamers, you really don't need to. You also can use hitters against your pitchers in these situations, and people don't do that very often. So curious to see where we end up. Let's see where we go and make sure that everything makes sense. Again, not playing a ton of lineups today, but this is sort of where I'm at. Just really quickly talking through the games. You're gonna have exposure to basically everything when you're playing on this small of a slate. Hawk and Morton, tough matchup for both of them. Like both opposing stacks, but I am gonna have to get to some of them because we have to play somebody today. So again, I'm getting to the stacks too. I'll get into the stacks in a minute. But as of right now, I am playing Tanner Houck and Charlie Morton. Very, I guess a little bit near, basically right near the field. Colorado, and this is weird, the Senzatella thing. To have 0 ownership may be a mistake. And the projection I know he's not going to throw as many pitches, and I know it's a bad matchup, but this feels a little bit ridiculous. I can put a minimum exposure of 1, and I can put a minimum exposure of 10 here, even though we're going to get some Taiwan anyway. But obviously, the hitting in this game is going to be what rules. I think it's going to be what, we're mostly going to be on Philly and Colorado for that matter. But we'll run the Sims, and I bet you it's going to give me a ton of Colorado by the time we're all said and done. Quickly between Houston and Minnesota, a little colder over there, but there is some wind, a little bit of wind blowing out. I do like, this is wild. It's giving me the relief pitcher here. I don't think it's wrong necessarily to use relief pitchers on these kind of slates. It's maybe at 20%. That's a little bit much. So I'm going to cap it at it'll go less than 15, but going to rebuild again. And Joe Ryan, I think Hunter Brown would be my favorite pitcher on the slate, just behind Joe Ryan, or just ahead of Joe Ryan. But again, it's tough because I want to take some shots at the slightly lower owned stacks because of the perceived bad matchup. Not even perceived, it is a bad matchup. And then let's see what we have as far as stack exposures. Yeah, you get a sort of a mix of different things. Still getting to some of the 5-mans, but I like the idea of getting to a mix today. And I think it makes sense just because it makes sense to do that and then target the bats that are most likely to have the most upside, both home runs and stolen base upside, because you're not looking at a monster score necessarily to win this, and it's not going to be. I mean, 2 of these teams might score 10 runs today, but I still think the right way to do it is not necessarily to go full 5 2s, 5 3s for every single stack. I don't think the correlation on DraftKings is strong enough on 3-game slates. So I wanted to try and get some of those other stacks, which so far I've accomplished by getting this a little bit different. Let's rebuild again and see where we end up. And appreciate all you guys tuning in. Please remember to like and subscribe. Remember, we're literally $20 more than SaberSim on the Ultimate, and then I think 10 for the Pro. And we have Goldie's projections, Sheets' projections, all of my content, all of my exposures exactly every day, all of Brandon Cruz's NASCAR content, all of Adam Perry for MLB and MLB and NHL, as a bunch of other little sports. Sheets also does a bunch of other little sports, all of our tutorials. There's a million things that can go on. Rody's playbook for baseball. There's a lot of stuff that we feel like we're offering. And, maybe most importantly, the partnership with PayDirt DFS, which is incredible. It's been great in the sports betting world as well as for DFS. Really, really, really great site, the PayDirt, and we're glad to have their content as well. So we do feel like we are a great one-stop shop as is, and we hope you guys give us a chance. We have the trials running, and I would encourage you guys, even if you've used them before, you're welcome to use them again because we have added new tools. We are working on rebuilding the site to a more user-friendly way, but all the information is up there. Also wanted to mention, as Stukas is doing some really cool stuff with his tools for NASCAR right now. We're going to try and spread that into some other sports, but that's sort of where we're at right now. So I'm going to run the Sims and sort of see where I ended up today on this early slate and see if we're there. If anybody has any questions or thoughts, feel free to pop them into the chat. Please give us the like and all that stuff. We want to keep doing these videos for free, and we are not often we're not going to be able to forever if we don't get enough engagement in there, I should say. Okay, so I'm not worrying about this. I play differently. I'm playing for upside and everything like that. I'm also going to hand build my big buy-in by the end of it. But I don't care about the min destination ROI. I'm not paying as much attention to that. If I was doing this exact thing every day and playing it this way, then I would start worrying about that kind of stuff. But I like to try and go for a little bit more variance. And also, it's baseball. There's an incredible amount of variance and randomness, and it's been working well so far. So I am trying to put my stamp on things a little bit. Obviously, when I do that, the min destination ROI is going to go down. But it is what it is. I could do it by projections. I think this way works fine because I'm fine leaving money on the table. Anyway, here's what we'd be getting based on the little tweaks that I made. Oops, what just happened here? Okay. Charlie Morton, I'm not thrilled about this. He didn't look great in his first outing. I do think that you could argue this matchup might end up being really good. I don't know where we're going to end up standing by the end of the year on the Red Sox, but I'll go less than 50. I would rather get to a little bit more Joe Ryan, even though I have a little bit of interest in the Houston bats against him. It's trying to do it to be contrarian. Justin Wilson as a relief pitcher. Yeah, okay. So we got at least some of the relief pitching out of there. We don't need to get any, too much relief pitching. I don't think it makes enough sense quite to go there, but it's close on a 3-gamer. If we had really poor pitching, which we don't, we have some guys with some upside. So for Joe Ryan, I'm probably going to put a little bit of a higher number in here just to make sure we get some of them. And then we'll get into stack exposures. And again, it's going to be a little bit wonky, but I think wonky is the way to go when you're playing a 3-game MLB slate. You want to try to be a little bit different, a little bit off the board, and try to get to some stuff that maybe some other people aren't coming up with just using the regular builder. However, having said all that, using the regular SaberSim builder with Sheets or Goldie's projections you're going to be profitable if you play a year's worth of tournaments, the same no matter what. You don't need to put your own stamp on it. This is just how I play. And just realizing we have a new SaberSim core package that's really cool that I want to talk to you guys about. That I'm not sure if they've put it up yet. Let me just double check if they've put it up on. I know they've got it ready to go, but I'm going to take a look at our membership options and make sure we have that stuff taken care of, because this is one of the problems we run into is, we're charging a lot, but that's because the SaberSim Ultimate package and even the Pro package is a lot. Our core package now has a chance to be really, really competitive. Just at a lower tier. So yeah, we've got the TrueDFS plus SaberSim Ultimate. If you already had the core plaque package, you're grandfathered in. That's why we've been telling everybody to jump in, because we have to raise these prices soon, and we are going to be raising the prices ASAP. So we're in really good shape here. Mountcastle is not in, as it turns out. So wait, hold on. That was my bad earlier. Did I have Mountcastle? I thought I ended up taking him out when I saw the projection difference. Oh, no, I didn't. I put him in because of gold. That's my fault. Thank you for that. Let's rebuild. And then who does SaberSim have in that is not in for Goldie? That's weird. How did I have that many guys in? So that was my bad. I just put the wrong number in. Appreciate you pointing that one out, Anthony. I just somehow missed it, and obviously I would have noticed it when I uploaded my lineups, but would have been kind of annoying. Also a reminder to even late swap to the last game. Last night I had the Braves and Dodgers. I still think they were most of my stacks were both sides. I still think the late swap was there. Kind of disappointed. It looked like it was going to be a big one, and the Braves were low owned against Snell and had so many chances, and it was against my Dodgers. But man, Shohei, can you believe this guy? The world's everybody's lined up for 18 hours trying to get to the bobblehead yesterday, and Shohei, of course, it's a walk-off home run in that game. That's just so wild to me how often this happens with this guy. Like, he's just, every time there's a big moment, a big anything, he just seems to come through. All right, let me just double check. Tyler O'Neill, blah, 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 blah. All of these look right. Am I missing any? No. Okay. Interesting that no Tyler O'Neill, but whatever. All right, so let's rebuild one more time without the Mountcastle thing, because that was the one that was tying it up. And we will get in there. And again, this is a little bit, I'm okay when I'm playing 37 lineups to just play a little bit wild and get all kinds of different exposures. I actually want to stay away from, if I was playing 150, I'd probably be more open to having a larger percentage of the 5-2s and 5-3s, because then you're at least playing as many lineups as everybody else is. When you're playing less lineups, I do think any ways you can find to be different while not giving up too much of your equity is probably a reasonable idea. So just wanted to throw that out there. And we will get over there in just a minute, it looks like. And I'm not doing the FanDuel all day slate. It's a grind, just going to be waiting for games to start forever. So I'm just not doing it myself. All right, let's see what we're going to get here. And we'll run the sim. I am using direct fill and unique rank. Again, I do these things a little bit different than cheats. There's plenty of ways to skin a cat. We've both been extremely profitable. And again, there's different ways to do it. His is more, look, just take my projections up, make sure to late swap everyone with my projections, maybe put a little bit of a slant on something that you don't agree with. Maybe there's weather concerns that you want to factor in. Maybe you want an NBA late, bump up to later games because there's a lot of value in being able to make decisions later because you never know who's going to be in. All of these things are little tweaks, but the overall thing is using either Goldie or Sheets' projections with the SaberSim Builder, I think, is an incredibly valuable thing to have. So let's see what we got here. So first, let's go to the pitching. I'd imagine we'd have exposure to everyone. Still lower on Joe Ryan in the field. It's okay. We're gonna take a little bit of a gamble today. I mean, not a gamble, but just it makes sense. Well above on Tanner Houck. Okay. Again, I'm gonna be willing to embrace some of the variance today, and then we have a couple of relief pitchers even making their appearance in there. Yordan Alvarez, because of the ownership being a little bit low on him and people being afraid to play against. So I'm getting the Houston and that's why I'm not getting the Joe Ryan, because it is going to be so much the lowest owned stack, which again, they've looked bad, but they have talent on that line in that lineup. So I'm expecting them to come out of it. And you can see that Houston is the biggest way I'm making my difference. We'll go to stack exposure and or team stacks, excuse me. And then we'll go to stack exposure. Houston 78%. Now those are going to be different types of stacks. Colorado, yeah, as you'd expect, the two lower owned of the bunch are going to be the ones that I'm going to be getting the most to give myself a chance on these little slates. And then the stack exposure types, 5-2 still made the number 1, 5-3 number 3, but still you see I'm getting 20% of the 4-4 to 11% of the 4-3, 8% 4-2, even some just funky ones, which I think makes plenty of sense on this kind of a slate. So it's pretty similar to what I'm going to run with. Still don't have a Houston lineup, obviously, but that's essentially what I'm going to be doing today. And hopefully this is helpful to everyone. Please give us a like, all that stuff. We'll be live at some point later, but I'm not sure exactly when. So I'm going to try to figure out. I'm not playing the NBA anymore, but I'm still covering it just for the sake of staying consistent. But yeah, probably worth noting that I'm not covering it anymore, and I'm not playing it anymore. I keep saying that, and then I'll occasionally throw in a few lineups. Probably really not at all anymore. So good luck today in baseball. Good luck in golf.